Trauma bonding isn't just a romance problem, it's a pattern. And it can hide inside any relationship where there's a power imbalance. Parent and child, boss and employee, sometimes even friend and friend. Somewhere in that list, a name has probably already popped into your head. Maybe it's someone you call every Sunday out of duty, not joy. Maybe it's someone you report to every morning with a knot in your stomach. Maybe it's someone you've known since childhood, and you still don't know why you haven't walked away. Hold on to that name, because by the end of this video, you might finally understand why it's been so hard to let go, or even to admit that something was wrong in the first place. What a trauma bond actually is. A trauma bond forms when someone hurts you repeatedly, but in between gives you just enough love, warmth, or praise to confuse your mind completely. Your brain starts thinking, maybe it's me. Maybe next time it'll be better. And in that hope, you stay. The cycle is tension to hurt, to reconciliation, to calm, to tension again. In romantic relationships, this cycle is easier to spot. But in family and at work, it feels so normal that we mistake it for love, discipline, or professionalism and just accept it. This is the hardest part, so listen slowly. As children, we don't choose our parents. They are our entire world. When they love us, we feel alive. When they scold us, our whole world shakes. Now imagine if the same home where you received love was also the place of constant taunts, comparisons, yelling, or emotional silence. The childhood brain learns one thing. To receive love, I have to endure pain. This belief settles so deep that even as adults, we're drawn toward people who give us the exact same feeling. A little love, a little pain, and a lot of hope. A mother who says, I love you, that's why you need to be corrected, and then shames you for every small mistake. A father who sometimes pulls you close and sometimes goes silent for weeks without explanation. Think of the daughter who tops her class, wins an award, comes home glowing, and the first thing she hears is, good, but you could have done better. Think of the son who's told over and over that he's not like his brother. That's not motivation. That's a child learning that love is a moving target, always just out of reach. And often, this plays out unevenly within the same house. One child becomes the golden child, praised, protected, held up as the standard. Another becomes the scapegoat, blamed, compared, made to feel like the problem. Both children grow up trauma-bonded, just in different shapes. One learns that love must be earned through perfection. The other learns that love must be earned through enduring blame. The child doesn't understand this is trauma. The child understands this is normal. This is love. And that's the trap we keep searching for later in life, in every relationship, in every shape. If you still visit your parents and feel a strange fear, a hunger for approval, or bracing for their anger, that isn't just respect. That's an old trauma bond, still alive today. Now let's talk about the kind of friendship that feels less like friendship and more like an emotional prison. Everyone has that one friend who praises you, then suddenly puts you down, feels more competition than joy at your success, suddenly showers you with love the moment you try to pull away, makes you feel guilty for spending time with anyone else. Look closely and you'll often notice, you're the one who always texts first. You're the one who apologizes first, even when you're not sure what you did wrong. You're the one adjusting your plans around their mood. And then there's the version of this that plays out in public. Online, they comment on your posts, tag you, call you their best friend for everyone to see. But in private, in the messages no one else reads, the comparisons start, the subtle put-downs start, the just joking comments that don't quite feel like jokes. The public warmth is real enough to keep you hooked. The private coldness is what actually shapes how you feel about yourself. In friendships like this, the same cycle plays out. Tension, pain, then an apology, then a bit of peace. And we tell ourselves, we've been friends for so many years, we can't just leave. But here's the truth. Years of friendship doesn't mean a healthy friendship. Sometimes we stay simply because the thought of leaving feels terrifying. That's the real sign of a trauma bond. When the thought of ending the relationship brings not sadness, but fear. Now let's talk about the place where we spend most of our lives, work. A boss who tells you after a project, this team is nothing without you, and then humiliates you in front of everyone the following week. An office where overtime is called dedication and burnout is called commitment. Picture the exact moment. You send a message asking for a day off and the reply comes back, "Sure, if you think the team can survive without you." Nothing was technically said against you, but you feel it. The guilt, the pressure, the quiet message that rest is a betrayal. So you cancel your plans. And somewhere inside, you feel almost relieved that you proved your loyalty. This is toxic productivity, the belief that your worth is measured only by how much you sacrifice. And it's reinforced every time exhaustion is rewarded with praise and boundaries are met with cold silence. This too is a trauma bond. It's just been renamed corporate culture. Employees stay because they think, maybe things will get better at the next appraisal. My boss praised me so much yesterday. Today's just a bad mood. That's the same hope that keeps a trauma bond alive. And ask yourself honestly, why don't we just leave? Sometimes it's money. Sometimes it's the fear of an employment gap on a resume. And sometimes it's a quieter, sadder thought. What if the next place is exactly the same? That fear alone is enough to keep good people stuck in bad rooms for years. And the saddest part, we mistake this exploitation for hard work or loyalty and proudly write it on our resumes. If you have to gauge your boss's mood before you even start your day, if you feel a tightness in your chest every Sunday night, that's not just stress. That's a trauma bond wearing the mask of professionalism. Now pause and think, what's common across all three of these relationships? In every case, there's a power imbalance. A parent holds authority, a boss holds the power to give or take away your job. A friend holds emotional influence. And wherever power tilts more to one side, the other person becomes afraid to say no. That fear is the foundation of every trauma bond. And behind that fear stands a small child who simply wanted to be loved without conditions. If trauma bonds cause so much pain, why don't we just walk away? This is the question people ask the most, and it's rarely as simple as it sounds. First, there's familiarity. Pain that we recognize can feel safer than uncertainty we don't. A difficult, predictable relationship can feel more manageable than the unknown of starting over, even when starting over would actually hurt less. Second, there's what psychologists call the sunk cost feeling. I've already given so many years, so much effort, so much of myself. If I leave now, doesn't all of that become meaningless? So we stay, not because it's good, but because leaving feels like losing everything we already invested. And third, the hope. The reconciliation phase of the cycle is powerful precisely because it's real. The love isn't fake. The good moments genuinely happen, and it's that intermittent, unpredictable warmth, never quite enough, never quite reliable, that keeps the brain chasing the next good moment the way a slot machine keeps someone pulling the lever. None of this means you're weak. It means your brain did exactly what it was built to do: survive, adapt, and hold on to hope. Understanding that is not an excuse to stay. It's the key to finally understanding why leaving has felt so impossibly hard. Let's hold up a small mirror in front of you. Ask yourself, am I in this relationship only because I'm afraid of their anger? Does my happiness depend on their mood? Do I keep reminding myself, they're not bad, they're just like that? Do I feel exhausted and empty after spending time with them, but still go back? If the answer to any of these is yes, this isn't just a difficult relationship. It might be a trauma bond. And recognizing that is the first, hardest, and most necessary step. That's a sign that somewhere inside you, there's still a child who simply wanted to be loved unconditionally. Breaking a trauma bond doesn't happen overnight. It's not the work of a day, but of a process. Reminding yourself that love doesn't have to include pain, that asking for respect isn't wrong, that healthy relationships have warmth too, without fear. You are not alone. This pattern is playing out in millions of homes, friendships, and offices. It just never had a name before. Now you have the name. Now you have the understanding. And that understanding is the first step toward a life where you no longer have to endure pain to receive love. If this video reminded you of one of your own relationships, write it in the comments. Your story might be exactly what helps someone else realize they aren't alone either.